This is the video that started it all. This is the answer to the question of what if? What if there's more archetypes in the universe than the ones that we're currently using? What if the archetypes match the chakra system as they went through the solar system? And the answer fit like a glove. So what it looks like is... God of communication is blue, and Venus, the goddess of love, is green. The next planet in the solar system is Earth, and that would make her gold. It would make her the solar plexus chakra, and that's about food, it's about where babies come from, and it's about personal power, and it's a great fit. So let's look a little bit more at who this archetype is. In the tarot, her card is the Empress. Here we see a queen, and she's wearing two crowns. She's wearing a crown of laurel leaves because she brings success, and she's also wearing a crown of stars because she's crowned by the heavens. Her dress is covered in pomegranates. Pomegranates are a symbol of abundance because they've got lots and lots of seeds in them, and they're also said to wear a crown. And she's sitting on a pile of cushions because she's all about the things that make us comfortable. At her feet there's a heart-shaped shield with the symbol of Venus on it. So traditionally this card has been associated with Venus, but Venus has her own card in the major arcana of the tarot, which is the Lovers. And we also need to remember that this is the symbol which is used for the female gender because it is a stylized womb. In front of her we have a field of grain because she is the goddess of abundance, and behind her we have a forest. She is Mother Nature. And there's also one tree which stands out. That tree could be a tree of life, also known as an ashram. Ashram is a symbol, but it's also a goddess that goes by the same name, who is the ancient Semitic fertility goddess. And her symbols appear to have been the inspiration for the Adam and Eve story. Yeah, that bad lady. Which shows us the progression of taking away the older pagan deities with new stories which promote the monotheistic patriarchal religions of Judaism and Christianity. So yeah, Queen of the Gods. We know the Queen of the Gods as Juno, the Roman goddess who is married to Jupiter, king of the gods, king of the sky. And we know the Greek version of her is Hera, queen of the gods, queen of marriage, patron of women. She was married to Zeus, king of the sky, king of the gods. But if we backtrack a little bit, her name is Gaia. That's her primordial version, and Gaia is probably the earth goddess that we all know and love. Now, Gaia was married to Uranus, who was the king of the sky, and their story was about them having an unhappy marriage. I'm going to make a video about the divorce between heaven and earth because it's a really big story which gets told all around the world in different versions, and it's a very interesting story. But to suffice to say, Gaia had herself some man problems. Which brings us back to Hera. So we know Hera as the goddess of marriage, and Hera had herself a bit of a reputation. She was known to be vindictive, spiteful, jealous, hysterical, and it might be because she was the goddess of marriage, but she was married to Zeus, who wasn't faithful to her. Another word for it could be philandering, whatever you want to call it. What he was getting up to would give any woman some negative emotions. And yeah, none of the Greek gods were portrayed as angels. If you want to see the gods portrayed as angels, we see them like that over in the Kabbalah. Where Hera gets interesting is her symbols. One of her symbols is the peacock. I don't know why the peacock is her symbol. It's a man bird. maybe because it wears a crown. I mean, it's a pretty buzzy looking bird. I wouldn't mind it as my personal symbol. And another of her symbols is the cow. Yes, the sacred cow. Maybe because it's got abundant amounts of mother's milk. And just to show you, I'm not making these things up. I don't need to. The truth is always stranger than fiction. We see the queen of the gods associated with the cow over in Egypt, where her name is Hathor. And if we move along a little bit to Nigeria, to the Yoruban tradition, which I've been incorporating to all of these videos because it's a living tradition, so it has really vivid accounts of who these deities are. There, her name is Oba. Oba means ruler or king or queen, and Oba was the first wife of the king of the gods called Shango, king of thunder. And her big story is about why she had to leave her husband, which also echoes one of the traits which seems to go along with this goddess, which she has a bit of a hard time in love. Anyway, Oba is the patron of marriage. She's the goddess of the hearth and home, and she's known as being really, really strong. So here we're seeing her sharing some of the traits with the deity which is on the other side of her, which is Mars. So she's straightforward, she's very, very capable, and she has the resources and the skills to make your plans bear fruit. In astrology, we don't have Earth because when astrology was created, it was all about the movements of those dots of light in the sky, and our planet that we were standing on didn't look like one of those dots in the sky. But now that we have a better understanding of what our solar system looks like, I'm proposing that we can use Earth in that system. And what we can do is we can use the moon, because we're not using the moon of any of the other planets, and the moon is a really, really good fit. The moon in astrology is about our feelings, it's about our emotions, it's how we give and receive care, and it's about our mother. It's also about our instincts. We've got a mothering instinct, a survival instinct, and it's about how we get our needs met so that we can feel downright safe and comfortable. That is the moon. And the moon made a lot more sense to me when I started looking at synastry charts, that's relationship compatibility in astrology. So when you've got strong moon aspects, that's often a good indication of a marriage, because if you've got strong feelings for someone, you want to keep them around. The moon in astrology rules the second house, which is Cancer, which is all about home and family. And it also rules the star sign of Taurus, the cow once again. So Taurus has traditionally been ruled by Venus, so we're seeing Venus placeholding for Earth. And Venus and Earth are like twin sisters. You will often see the deities sharing the traits of the ones who sit next to them in the rainbow. And Venus and Earth, they're both fertility goddesses. Taurus is about material possessions. It's about the things that we value, including how we value ourselves. It's about sensual pleasures, the things that we spoil ourselves with after a hard day's work. It's a good meal, a hot bath, a pile of beautiful cushions. And it's also an earth sign, so it's practical and it has the managerial skills to go out and make the money to buy ourselves those things that we want and desire. And it also has a love of beauty. It's got a creative streak. That is Taurus. People who personify this archetype might be tall. They could be big boned, or they could be curvy, or they could just look like a normal woman. She might have beautiful big eyes, or be the person who wears extra eyelashes. And the archetypal jobs or hobbies which go along with this archetype are they can be creative, making things, musicians, singing, making pottery. Pottery really belongs to this archetype. She could be a person who gives care, apart from just being a mother. She could be a mother. That's a full-time job. She could be a school teacher, a nurse, any healthcare professions. You get the drift. And finally, production management goes along with this role. So for some reason, this is the person who just makes people feel like everything is sorted, everything is organized. She is the lady boss. If you ever see a person running around with a clipboard or an Excel worksheet, it is this lady. She pairs up with the Mercury archetype, or she pairs up with the Jupiter archetype. She is a goddess of marriage, so she can have long-standing marriages, but there can also be an unluckiness in love which goes along with this role as well. So sometimes this lady will just prefer her own company instead of having to put up with anything less than love. So yeah, that's an introduction to the Earth archetype. Once you start to see this person in real life, you'll learn so much more than I can put in a little 10-minute video. I hope this inspires you to think about Earth a little bit more. And if you find this video interesting, perhaps you want to check out some of the other videos I've made about the deities in the solar system. I'll see you soon.